Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are starting off a series on anxiety and depression. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I feel like I've had a whole film schedule planned for the year and I couldn't do it because most of the time during the day I'm either sleeping or eating or drinking or doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing, trying to deal with my anxiety. And there's a long story behind this, but I'm gonna spend this series trying to explain it to you and also trying to make sure that we learn together, we grow together, because I feel like if I'm not open about this particular thing in my life right now, I will really not get a handle on things because so much time has already passed by and it has kind of slowed down my progress for the year because I really can't focus on more than one thing, and that's been the biggest breakdown of my life this year. And I just think maybe by talking about it I can help myself, help another person, and in doing so we can all grow together. When I kick this series off with pretending, I think this has been a huge part of my life lately because I started seeing a psychologist and I found myself saying to her last week or the week before that I find myself pretending all the time. Like I just feel so fake because I just feel like nobody really understands me at this point and I don't really know what to do about that. And by nobody, I really mean no one. So I feel like I pretend all the time because people really expect different things from me. I'll start with my family and just build outwards. In my family, I have a mom that I live with right now. I also have a dad, but he lives elsewhere. And I also have a biological brother and an adopted sister. So it's the 5 of us. But my mom and my dad got divorced in 2010, so we've been living on our own for almost 10 years now. My mom is a wonderful mom. She took care of me, she still does. And one thing that made our relationship shaky in the past year is that I've suddenly realized that everything I like or everything I know about myself has been shaped by her because she's so overprotective, so overprojective, over everything. She's just an overachiever, and to a point where I felt like my life was planned out by her, so I was living the life that she wanted me to live. And my only regret about that is that I didn't realize this at a young age. I think most girls or more people that are independent now or know what they want now is because they got out from under their parents' shell, you can say, at a young age. And for me, that's only starting to happen now because I saw nothing wrong with the way that I was brought up or with the way that she was raising me. I did get a bit of freedom from her during the time that I was in varsity, and afterwards when I worked for 3 years I lived out of the house, so I could do whatever I wanted. But even during those years I was very restrictive because of the things that I thought were right and things that I thought were wrong were wrong. So that's the process that we are going with me and my therapist at this point, where we're trying to separate our identities, and that has been a mother, okay? Like it's been the most difficult thing for me to do. Currently I teach at a school in the high school part of the school. So at school I'm very like, you know, disciplined, and I want to make sure that the kids are disciplined, mostly because I thought that I'm entering a school that has high academic achievers, high academic requirements, and all these things, only to find that the kids I'm working with have a lot of gaps in their foundation, a lot of general knowledge, a lack of general knowledge, and just like not really a good grip, in my opinion, in like the whole world as a place they live in. I think what I expected was for them to have a grip on like English as a language, which was a huge problem for me last year because I taught English and also to have high academic requirements, maybe from their parents or from their family or something like that, which was also not in place. So not for all of them, but for the majority of them. So luckily I had a great team, you know, and we started just implementing what we could in order to make sure that we now require that of them. What people don't know at school or in my day-to-day work is that I really struggle behind the scenes in order to make sure that I'm prepared for class, in order to make sure that I get everything done after class. You know, there's just so much that I'm still learning. But I think what has helped is that I have a world-class team that's just helping me with the subject, helping me with the content, and that has been really helpful. And I am honest in saying this, that I don't know where I'll be without those people, but I think that what lacks for me is really drive and passion, which is something that I miss that. So I just feel like I have to pretend that I have everything under control, but I don't. And I also hate that about myself, because I know myself to be a highly driven, highly accelerating individual, and to be able to work at such a slow pace is mind-numbing for me. It really is, because I feel like it's a joy to be in class, it's a joy to educate, it's a joy to, you know, making sure that they have the correct content, and you know, it's just nice when their minds like literally bright up when you teach them something. But without the drive and passion, it's kind of hard for me to innovate myself and, you know, come up with cool tricks for them to memorize or to learn and stuff. So that has been really awful for me in that regard. And also in the first half of the year, I also had 4 modules that I was doing on the side with UNISA, and I really found that it was hard for me to focus on them, even though they are only 4. But and people really think that just because I'm a teacher I have the afternoon off. I really don't, based on the transport system, because if I come out of school at 2:30, my next available bus is only at 3:45. So I get home at around 5. When I get home, I typically want to slap myself on the bed and literally die and sleep. But my mother finds that offensive, because she believes that families should interact after a long day of work, because she wants to know how your day was and what your highlight of your day was, which is really sweet and everything. But I literally spent the whole day trying to not have a conversation with people, and now I have to have a conversation at home. And you can't just tell your story and go. You have to stay long enough to listen to theirs, and theirs is normally like 2 hours long. So that's a whole lot for me. And I feel like on days when I am feeling really overwhelmed and super stressed, I need to be left alone. Like it's an emergency, because most of the time when I do feel like that and I'm asked what is wrong, I have no idea. So it's kind of hard for me to explain in terms of what's going on and stuff. And I think in the earlier days it was really just being overwhelmed by worrying about my future, like worrying about the unknown and worrying about whether I'm doing the right thing and stuff like that. And that has really been such a waste of time. But it's really something that I think I had to go through in order for me to be able to put those flames to rest, so to speak. So that has been like unimaginably difficult for me in order to, you know, sort through my thoughts and stuff like that. Most of the time when I'm having an anxiety attack, I'll have like I think 2 things will happen. One, I'll need to be isolated right away, like I just can't talk. And then the second thing is that I'll have a rapid heartbeat, which is then followed by extreme nausea. Like I can't, like your heart is literally beating out of your chest. Like it's been the biggest nightmare of my life. Now it's kind of hard to imagine where all these things come from, because of the fact that there's just so much going on earth right now. So I think for me, how I would describe I don't know, the origin of my anxiety and depression is that it's an identity crisis, which is something I never thought I would have, because I feel like I know myself pretty well. So it's kind of hard now to kind of reconfigure those settings in terms of, okay, who are you really, you know? And I think that's the worst thing to be anxious about, because you can't really rely on those, like, stress signals that you normally would have, in terms of, okay, I will feel better if I go for a walk, or I'll feel better if I do this, or I'll feel better if I do that. It's just not gonna be solved by any of those things, because it's really something that you have to face on your own. I think in the last couple of days, I've really tried to meditate, which has been a nightmare from hell, because I hate to be in my brain like that. Like, there's just a lot going on. I'd rather just numb myself, which is something I've also done, and I'll talk about that separately. And then another thing that's causing that is my relationship with my mother. My mother's the person I love the most on earth, but she's also the person that has slowed down my growth the most. So kind of untangling myself from her has been the worst thing I've ever done. I think most people would just move away from their mothers and just get the side chatter and stuff like that. But the way that we are built, we have to talk about the things that, that they are bothering us. Otherwise, the other person will never know how you made them feel. And I think going through that has made my mom face the possibility of thinking that she's a bad parent. And if you know my mom, you would know that she thinks that she's perfect at everything, just so annoying. But I really think that she needs to own up to some of the things that, that's happened. But I feel like at the same time, it's not for her to feel bad about it. It's for her to understand where I need to go. And I can't really live without her. So it's not really a thing of like, okay, I need to move out and like find my own place or whatever. That I need to do. I know that for a fact. But I just mean that I need her in my life. I need her in terms of later on when she is a grandma. Like, am I really gonna be like, that's what you did when I was young? Yeah. That's just dumb. Like, if she knows now that that's something that I don't agree with or something that I don't like, then there's no need for us to clash about it in the future. That's just how I see it. And then another thing is definitely my career. Like, that's something now that has mellowed a bit. Before, it was always like, oh my gosh, you need to make a success of yourself, you need to make a success of yourself, you need to make a lot of money, you need to make a lot of money, and all these other things. That used to circle in my mind all the time. And if you really think about it, it's because of the way that I was brought up. Now, being a teacher, my mother used to tell me when I was younger that teaching is just not one of the options. Sorry, but you have to choose something else. I'm not gonna allow you to be a teacher. And because I was scared of her when I was growing up, I literally erased it from my mind. But in the later years or recently, I've kind of circled around in terms of why didn't I explore this career as an option when I was younger. And it's because of that. It created a blockage in my mind. And that's something that I really need to work on shattering, because everything that she said no to, I listened to her. I'm not a retaliator. Like, I feel like if I retaliate against you, or if you feel like I'm retaliating against you, it's not through communication. You must really know that I love you, because if I'm still talking and saying this is wrong, let's fix it, or I'm asking you what's wrong, let's fix it, I must love you. Like, I do not waste my time with people that I can't stand. Like, I just ignore you. So if there's no communication, then I'm not willing to fix it. But if I talk, then that means that I want something in the future with you. I want to grow and I want to understand you better, despite the fact that maybe we have literally nothing in common. But I still believe that this can work. So there's also that to consider. I feel like sometimes what makes me feel depressed is really fear. And that's something that I'm working overboard to try and rectify. It's like I wish I was never introduced to it ever in my life. So those are the 4 things that I'm trying to work through, and that I'll be talking about extensively in the remainder of the series. There's nothing for me that I can do that will be more freeing than being understood, like understanding myself and being understood. That's the most freedom that I can get. So every time when I'm trying to think of something I can do that's more freeing, I literally think, if I only knew how my mind worked and I found at least one other person that did, I would be golden. That's all I want. Like, that's my only wish. Anything else is just doesn't matter to me. So yeah, it's kind of dramatic, but that is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video right here, guys. Like, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Also subscribe. I think I'm gonna split this into 8 videos. Hopefully we'll get to uncover everything that we need to learn from those 8 videos on this series. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.